Thank you everyone for coming to this live reveal event. We don't do this for every new product that we create, but because this one's so revolutionary and takes ConsuLab into a new and exciting direction, we wanted to do it live. It's such a game changer, in fact, that we even trademarked it. Kevin Bowden and Nathan Banky are ready to showcase this new student learning platform for you. So let me toss it to Kevin Bowden, ConsuLab president, at our home office.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. These have been challenging times, to say the least, for everyone. Change, adaptation, distance learning, socially distanced learning. Every time we deal with change, we have to look at how do we adapt what we're doing in order to generate success. Two things. First of all, we're actually presenting this from 4 different locations, separated by 2,000 miles. Second thing, you're going to see there's a chat that's available. Anytime you have questions, please enter your question in the chat and we'll deal with it in our question and answer session at the end. During these times, the entire ConsuLab team has been reflecting on what do we have to do to adapt what we do best in order to help you as a teacher to better prepare your students for a career in industry. Space savings, student engagement, teaching difficult to comprehend concepts, and especially time. Students' time and your time. With no further ado, I'm really anxious to present to you ConsuLink.
Now we asked ourselves, how can we help students learn faster? How can we save teachers time? How can we remove as many obstacles from the process? And how can we really grasp the student's attention? So what we did is we went out in the field and we observed, we listened to what the customers, to what you, the teachers and the students and everyone had to say. And then we really studied the way our products were being used. How were ConsuLab products being used in the shop by the teachers, by the students? And what we discovered was that the amount of time spent with the product, it wasn't exclusively spent teaching and learning. It was spent doing a bunch of other stuff as well. What we realized was that for most teachers, there was a lot of familiarization necessary for each product. The more complex the product, the more time you had to spend getting to know it, getting to know the ins and outs, how to dial everything in, get the sensor set to the right voltage value, get everything set up, and really understand how it all works before you could teach your first class. And then, even once you knew how it worked, you still had to prep. So you had to come in early, get everything set up, dial everything in, flip all the switches, get it ready before your students showed up. And then, once your students were there, they were still dependent upon you. Because if you had 5 engine benches and a bunch of groups of students, and you gave them each an assignment with a fault, well, every time one of them was done, their hand was up, and they were chasing you down to get you, well, find out, did they find the right problem? Is this the problem? Take it off, put a new one in, move along. So we had created this situation where you had to be a superstar. The students were dependent upon you. You had to know everything about every single ConsuLab product that you had at your school. And you had to have time to prep for every single class. So we know you're all superstars, but you can't be a superstar every day for everybody forever. So what we did is we took all of our teaching experience on our team, over 150 years experience, all of the comments, all of the suggestions you've brought to us over the last 50 years, and we've channeled all of that knowledge and experience into the ConsuLink. And now it's available for you, for your school, for your students. And let me show you a little bit more how it works.
So we've got these things called case studies, and this completely changes how the student interacts with the product. This is pure magic, because now, instead of you, the instructor, having to be over the student's shoulder, come over, play with a fault box, do something, you could simply say to your students, today I'd like you to do case study CS02. And what does that mean? Well, let's try it out. We'll fire up the engine. We're going to click on the case study, and it says start the case study. What just happened? It says the problem, we've got a check engine light on, extended crank, clear the codes before beginning each case study. And this is your student that just created this problem live.
Now let's imagine that your students have access to these wonderful case studies. So they walk up, they get in, they've got customer complaint, they've got a description of what to do, they've got some access to wiring schematics, breakout box identifications. Essentially, they need to show up with scan tool, service information, and they're going to be good to go. They're going to be able to learn on their own, student-led learning, doing this autonomously. And this is going to liberate you to spend more time with other students. But what about you? Well, as an instructor, now if your students are able to autonomously go through some of these case studies on their own and learn things and diagnose things and check out some problems, and they can do all of this while you're off helping some other students. Well, now the students are going to come to you and they're going to go, hey, I finished case study 14 and I think I know what the problem is. I think it's this wire is cut between here and here, or this sensor's got a funky voltage. Can you come give me a hand? And you walk up to it, and now you've got to know everything about each of these case studies, each of these faults, and know all of the answers to still be that superstar. Well, we've got that covered too.
We also have an instructor interface. So if we look here, we've got all these menus that are locked out because we don't want the students to have access. So if you click on one of the locked out menus, you need the teacher pin. So if I enter the pin of 0000, boom, we're in. Now we've got access to all these other menus, instructor's guide, wiring diagram with faults. I'd love to show it to you, but then your students would see where all the faults are. The fault insertion, the case studies, and we've got more and more case studies for instructors. So you've got different lessons that have already been created. So we can go in and get coolant temp sensor lessons. We've got 4 different coolant temp sensor lessons on this engine. And we explain to you exactly what to do, what voltages are going to be changed. It's kind of like a preset recipe. Again, we've got dozens of lessons and case studies programmed in here for all kinds of different sensors, for the intake air temp, fuel tank pressure, map sensor, CVVT, APP sensor.
So now you have all the information that you need to be that superstar. It's all right there at the touch of your fingers. And you can access that not only with the key code, the pin number, as we've shown on the screen, but there's also, using a key, you can actually go in, unlock the tablet with a key. So your students aren't going to figure out what your code is. So there's many different ways for you to get in there to get access to the instructor's menu, because we know you're all going to forget the code anyways. But on top of that, there's also another way that you can assign these case studies and these faults and scenarios to your students. Let's say that you wanted to give them that case study or that fault or whatever, but you didn't want to give them any indication of what it was. You just wanted to have them go in almost at random. Well, we can do that as well.
Not only do we have all of these case studies where we explain the effect, we tell them it's got a check engine light or it's got an extended crank or it runs like crap. We tell them that and we give them instructions. But as an instructor, you can also assign them pretty much anything you want through what's now called a scenario number. So if we go here, we click on scenario number, and here, I'll just fire up the engine. I'll give you guys an example. Engine started running, no codes, runs beautifully. I can give my students the practical assignment today. I go, guys, today you're going to do 4001. What is a 4001? Could be a placebo. Could be a placeholder number that does nothing. Could be a number that does something very drastic. Let's see what it does, a 4001. 4001. I don't know what that was, but I can tell you, we can hear the difference, and we can smell the difference.
So now you have 3 completely different ways to interact with the ConsuLab product through the ConsuLink. You can give student case studies, you can do instructor-led case studies, instructor-led lessons, you can go in with a scenario code, but of course you can also still go through manual fault insertion. So you could go into the ConsuLink, you could select the fault and just turn it on. You can dial in the voltage values, you can set intermittent faults, and then let's say that you go that far and you go into all the details and you set up this really cool fault situation scenario case study that you want to share with your students. Well, now you can save it as a case study and you could put your notes in there. You could put all the details in there and save it. And now it'll be one touch away, just ready for you anytime you need to teach that class. You walk up to it, unlock it, and you're in. Now, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. You're probably watching this from at home. I'm filming this from my home. And you've got a lot of students that are now going into distance-based learning. And in teaching technical trades, automotive, diesel, that's not easy. We know that's not easy. We're seeing it the world over that there are schools that are going to distance-based learning. And there's a lot of challenges with that. And we're here to help. We've got all kinds of ways that ConsuLab can help you, both with courseware, with our partnership with Electude, with our products that can be used. And all of the preparation and prep work and theory can be done before the students come in. But we're seeing this everywhere, that the schools are focusing now on essential practicals. We know there's certain technologies that have to be taught on site in a lab. Physically distanced, with a barrier, with your mask, with your visor, everything that you need. But when you're doing those practical essentials on site in a lab, there's nothing better than ConsuLab products because it allows you to be faster, safer, and physically distanced from your students and have repeatable practical exams and practical lessons that you can do time and time again and schedule with your students. So the ConsuLink and ConsuLab products make it easier for you to do those practical labs on site with your students, physically distanced during the pandemic. Now let's get back with Kevin and Jimmy and hear a little bit more.
Thanks, Nathan. Our first product that's going to integrate ConsuLink is the Hyundai engine bench with direct injection. It's on sale starting now with first deliveries in November. Now in the future, we're going to be developing all kinds of new products that are going to integrate ConsuLink. One more thing. As our educational experts develop new case studies, you're going to be able to update your ConsuLink and download those new case studies into your ConsuLink, keeping up to date with our software and our case studies. In the event that you have any really cool case studies, feel free to share them with us and we'll be able to integrate it and share it with all of the community of ConsuLink users. Thank you everyone for being with us today. On to Jimmy for the question and answer period. Stay safe, everyone.
That's great, Kevin. You had mentioned already about future products. We had a question in the chat about whether this student learning platform, ConsuLink, would be available on diesel engines. So, Nathan, do you want to take that one?
Sure, no problem. So right now we're developing on 2 different products, the ConsuLink already, and 3rd and 4th on the list are both related to diesel and heavy vehicle products. So soon to be announced will be some heavy vehicle and diesel products with the ConsuLink technology. So essentially we're going to be rolling this out across our best-selling products and our future products over the coming months.
Nathan, I'm going to keep this to you. Can you tell us how many case studies there are with this?
Yeah, so it seems like every time that I talk to the guys, we add more. And just earlier, talked to one of the guys on the team, and we're up to 38 case studies on this Hyundai bench. And we're really only scratching the surface because each time that we give this to a new instructor and they start using it, because you're able to create your own, everyone's got these great innovative ideas, and we keep adding more and more. So really, the sky's the limit. Right now, we're at 38 with this one. I know in other ones that we've developed, we've hovered around 25, 30. Easily, right off the bat, we're able to get 25, 30 case studies.
We got time for one last question, and of course, this one is what we were anticipating, Kev. So I'm going to throw it to Kevin. Somebody in the room, of course, wants to know, well, what's the cost of it?
Well, you know, cost is always an issue. We know if you can't afford it, it's of no value. And really what we try to look at is educational value versus price. And our design and engineering team here has really hit it out of the park. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Don't hesitate to contact us. Contact your local sales rep or one of our salespeople in order to get a quote out for you. Again, I think you're going to be surprised. The value is so much greater than anything we've done before.
I know I said I'm going to have one more question because I knew this one was going to come up too. Somebody in the room already has a current ConsuLab engine bench, and they want to know if it can be retrofitted. So Kevin, go ahead and answer that one.
Look, originally we really wanted to design it to be able to do that. But once we started exploring all of the potential and the possibilities of the ConsuLink software, we recognized that retrofitting it was really going to limit our ability in order to use it to its full capacity. So unfortunately, no, we are not able to retrofit it. The other thing that's really important is that we designed it to go out of the box. So there's no Wi-Fi connectivity necessary for it. Obviously, to do a software update or to download new case studies, it's necessary, but it's really ready to go out of the box.
Okay, we're definitely short on time, so I just want to remind everybody to check out more on this. Will be posted on our homepage, www.consulab.com, and then also please like us on Facebook. We will continue to blast out more information there. I'm going to give Kevin the final word.
Well, guys, I want to really thank you for being here. This is something that we've been excited about for some time, and we're really glad to show it to you. Look, it's not just a question of selling you a product. It's a question of the support behind the scenes, our educational experts that we have that are able to help you understand how to maximize it. In these times where it's best to be distance, we've gotten really good at just being a click away and, looking at future training sessions online with direct access to ConsuLink software is something that we're going to be able to do in the future. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Get in contact with us. We're just a couple clicks away, or a phone call even. Thank you everyone for being with us today.